The outrageous Gary McDonald, Pamela Stephenson and Sue Cruikshank star in the scandalous life after death comedy, Those Dear Departed, Monday. This is 10 Eyewitness News with Peter Lloyd.
High drama and high seas. New morning 2, the first casualty of the Sydney to Hobart. Calling out the riot squad, pitched battles on a Perth street. And a show of unity, the royal family celebrating Christmas. Good evening. Heavy winds tonight are bearing down on the Sydney to Hobart yacht fleet, but an early warning of gales has been downgraded. In fact, race organisers are now hopeful the approaching southerly change will help the 105-strong fleet to make it to Hobart in near record time.
There it is. Ideal weather for the start of the 49th Sydney to Hobart, with a light northeasterly helping the fleet across the starting line. As usual, dozens of spectator craft accompanied the races through the harbour, and thousands crammed vantage points to get a close look at Australia's #1 Blue Ocean Classic. And there was drama even before the race had started. Melbourne-based New Morning 2 was involved in a 3-boat collision, losing its mast and any chance of finishing the race.
One of the guys went overboard, and that was our priority #1. We got him back on board. He was down for quite a while, and he went between the boats, and so that was pretty heavy. But we got him back on board, and then we just had to sit there and watch the gun go and watch the rest of the fleet run off up the harbour.
As the first yachts negotiated Sydney heads, there were already fears of more problems. The Weather Bureau was predicting gale-force winds.
Weather forecasts can always be wrong. They're predicted off a computer program. And the long-range prediction was for a rather severe sort of gale warning. That still might occur.
By late this afternoon, the wind had swung from the west and built to 25 knots.
The predictions are we'll have a southerly change early tomorrow morning, sometime tomorrow, with a following change sort of coming through late tomorrow afternoon. So it's a double whammy in some ways.
And their conditions likely to suit Line Honour's favourite Brindabella, already showing its class with a handy 2-minute lead from Amazon and Hammer of Queensland. Race organisers expect the leading yachts to finish the 630 nautical mile race by lunchtime Wednesday, with the stragglers reaching Hobart's Constitution Dock sometime on New Year's Eve. Sean Murphy, 10 News.
At a yacht aground on the Queensland Sunshine Coast, an afternoon thunderstorm packing 50-knot winds sent the Susie B onto rocks at Point Cartwright. 3 people on board made it ashore unhurt. The main problem now reclaiming the yacht without causing more damage. To Perth, where a suburban Christmas party ended in a street battle with police. Neighbours were terrorised, coastal bushland set alight, and when the riot squad was sent in, bricks and sticks came at them from roadway barricades.
It was just horrible. The noise, the damage.
Christmas party of all kinds!
North Beach residents say it was like a war zone on their front verge. Hundreds of Christmas partygoers were out to celebrate, but the festive cheer got well out of hand when bushland was set on fire. Emergency crews arrived to battle the blaze, instead meeting a barrage of abuse. Police called in, their vehicles attacked. For neighbours, it was a living hell, noise and abuse meeting their requests for peace.
Really frightening, you know, when there's so many kids here out of control. You know, what can you do? I mean, if I went down there to say something, it might last 5 minutes.
When police stepped up their presence, some partygoers tore down a brick wall, arming themselves with bricks and stones, prepared to do battle. Police reinforcements arrived, batons and shields needed to quell the violent crowd. Police closed off West Coast Drive, advancing on the gangs which fought back, pelting the officers with missiles. After 3.5 hours, police finally got the crowd under control. 3 arrests, those in custody facing charges of disorderly conduct, setting fire to bushland and resisting arrest.
It's appalling for this time of the year. It is the time of the year, Christmas. It's goodwill to all people, and to have this, I believe it was appalling.
Mark Thompson, 10 News.
In Sydney, a team of cleaners worked from dawn cleaning up Australia's most famous beach after a day of wild partying yesterday. As some revellers were still sleeping off their Bondi Christmas, almost 30 council workers were busy collecting tons of rubbish. About 20,000 partied at Bondi for Christmas, many of them young backpackers. But the mess was not as bad as previous years. A drop-in swell also made today a bit easier on Bondi's lifeguards. Yesterday, they had to rescue 80 people as alcohol and big seas combined to make it their busiest day of the year. The Christmas prayers of one Queensland family were answered today when a Sunshine Coast woman feared murder turned up unharmed. She'd been missing for 3 days.
Christine Hunter vanished last Thursday after walking about 600 metres to a corner store in the Noosa hinterland. The 48-year-old woman had left to buy milk. She didn't return. Police launched an investigation, fearing she may have been abducted or murdered. An identikit of a possible suspect was released and hundreds joined in the search. Last night, however, the first sighting about 9:30. Mrs. Hunter was hitchhiking on the Koroi-Noosa Road. A motorist who dropped her off near Koroi said she appeared disoriented and disturbed. An hour later, police found her walking into town.
She is alive and appears to be well and okay. I know we're very jubilant that she's been found and alive.
Mrs. Hunter was taken to Koroi Hospital and treated for cuts, abrasions and insect bites after spending 3 days wandering in thick bush. Late today, her relieved husband spoke about the ordeal.
I think she had a possible blackout for a number of hours. I was about to have the worst Christmas I ever had, and I must tell you I was praying pretty hard.
Meanwhile, police hold fears for a man missing near Toowoomba. A 58-year-old man from Flagstone Creek was last seen a week ago. His brother reported him missing last night, triggering an intensive search of rugged bush. So far, no sign of the man. Ernestine Laval, 10 News.
On the nation's roads, the Christmas death toll tonight stands at 11. The fourth fatal crash in Western Australia and the first in Victoria came on country roads in the past few hours. In both, cars left the road and hit trees. Politics and the federal government's new Primary Industries Minister, Bob Collins, is to embark on serious fence mending with the mining industry in the wake of the fallout of the Mabo native land title legislation. Watching on the sidelines, the Green Movement, it will step up the pressure on the Keating government to ensure its views are heard.
When the Hawke Cabinet banned mining at Coronation Hill in the Northern Territory on disputed Aboriginal religious grounds, Bob Collins fought it tooth and nail. Being from the Northern Territory and with an intimate knowledge of Aboriginal customs and law, he believed the Cabinet was being conned.
Started in the Office of Minister for Primary Industries and Energy.
Then he was shipping and aviation minister. But now, since last Thursday, he's Primary Industries Minister, with resources, the very junior portfolio under his wing. So as Senior Minister, you'll be taking an active interest in the resources side of the portfolio?
Oh yes, I always have, Paul, as you well know.
Already the Resources Minister, David Beddle, is signalling an industry-friendly stance anyway. Value adding will be one of his hobby horses. But of course, to value add, you first need the resource. The forest industry lobby reads the new ministerial team in a very positive light.
We've got a good minister and a new senior minister in primary industries and energy, and I'm sure we'll be well represented if they stick to the National Forest Policy and those inquiries.
Mr Bain is referring to the strategies in the National Forest Policy Statement that last week saw wood chip licences extended based on scientific data collected on the impact of logging. The Wilderness Society and the Green Movement generally is far from impressed. Already they're foreshadowing an escalation of protests against the Keating government.
The awesomely bad decision on the forest with which the Keating government ended 1993 is going to rebound on them.
But Environment Minister Kelly's office says due recognition has not been given to her work in setting up greener forest management policies. Whatever aggravation the Keating government gets over its handling of this nation's resources, Bob Collins says his first task is to assure the miners and the farmers the Mabo land management model is user-friendly. The Collins agenda could be a severe test of the Democrat Green Alliance Labor forged to get its Mabo bill through. The minor party see 1994 as their chance to steal Labor's environmental credentials. Paul Bongiorno, 10 News.
Still on politics, and it appears that the Republic push is faltering. The latest Time Morgan poll shows that in the past 8 months, those in favour of Australia becoming a republic have gone from a majority to a minority. The indications are that 48% of us want the monarchy to stay. Coming up, Europe's worst floods in 60 years and Christmas Bosnia style.
No Christmas in Krešončevo. The village was Croat. Now they're defending it house by house.
Monday on Healthy, Wealthy and Wise.
Although the gold rush days are gone, nuggets can still be found round here.
Jim tours the Victorian goldfields.
No visit to Ballarat is complete without seeing Sovereign Hill.
Lynn has some unusual decorating ideas for the home.
These stunning gilded works certainly glitter.
Ian makes a fabulous beef stroganoff and sauce.
I'm going to make the two things separately, then I'm going to add them together.
While Ross finds out what those old ornaments are worth.
Really, it's just knickknacks that we've collected over the years.
Healthy, Wealthy and Wise, Monday.
Season's greetings from everyone at Rockingham City. For all your holiday shopping, Rockingham City is open all day Boxing Day, Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy shopping at Ahern's, Kmart, Treasureway, Archie Martin Vox, plus loads of specialty stores. And for holiday eats, there's Advantage, Coles and fresh food stores. So don't get caught short over the Christmas break. Call into Rockingham City. We're open Boxing Day, Monday and Tuesday, 10 till 5.
Love is just around the corner. Love is show weekend.
It's Goldmark's New Year clearance, and it's big. All jewellery in every store is a big 50% off now.
Best prices, best quality.
This is the big value clearance you've been waiting for, with a big 50% off the great range of rings and earrings, chains and bracelets, and a big 30 to 50% off a fantastic selection of watches.
Goldmark, just around the corner.
The big New Year clearance.
Goldmark.
G'day. The boys asked me why I reckon Marlows are the best. It's easy. Chrissy's just over and the local Marlows team are having an end-of-year sale starting Monday. This catalogue's in Sunday's TV Extra magazine. Take a look at these bargains. Waterproof tarps from $2 each or 3 for $4.95, and just about any part for your car. The biggest range at the lowest prices anywhere. And look, there's heaps more. Get Sunday's TV Extra magazine, get your Marlows end-of-year sale catalogue and get into Marlows. The sale starts Monday.
Towels, towels, towels! Just $5. Don't wait for the January sales. Oztees has made a scoop purchase of thousands of towels at just $5. That's right, $5. There's apricot towels, blue towels, lemon towels, green towels, and lots more colours. Great designs, and they're printed right here in Western Australia. Towels, towels, towels! But only at Oztees. Shop now, 68 Arundel Road, Balcatta, next to WA Salvage, and south of the river at 1729 Albany Highway, Kenwick. But hurry while stocks last!
A police siege is underway in Tasmania tonight. Police say a heavily armed man began shooting at family members at around midday in a house near New Norfolk, 40 kilometres northwest of Hobart. No one's been hurt, but it's believed the gunman is holding his 18-year-old niece captive. Hobart police have set up a command post and negotiators are still talking to the man. Overseas, gunmen who kidnapped a group of school children in southern Russia have now threatened to blow up their hijacked helicopter if troops move against them. 2 boys, a bus driver and 2 pilots are still being held captive by the 4-masked gunmen.
The saga began 4 days ago when the kidnappers, armed with automatic rifles, took 15 hostages at a school in the southern Russian city of Rostov. Included in the captives, 11 children. They were herded onto a bus before the gunmen commandeered a helicopter and demanded safe passage to Iran. They managed to fly a short distance before being grounded by bad weather. They then freed 8 of the hostages, 7 girls and a teacher, and yesterday authorities managed to negotiate the release of 2 boys in exchange for a ransom of $12 million. As the weather began to clear towards nightfall, the kidnappers took off again with their remaining 5 hostages on board. But they returned in less than 2 hours after their helicopter ran into heavy fog and icy winds. Tonight, crack soldiers and several tanks surround the runway, with the gunmen threatening to blow up their dynamite-packed helicopter if the troops move in. It is still not clear who the hijackers are. All they've told the government is that they have AIDS and want to go to Iran for medical treatment. Lyndall Davies, 10 News.
The weather that blocked the hijacked helicopter has devastated northwestern Europe. Hundreds of thousands have spent Christmas surrounded by floodwaters. The misery extended to the United Kingdom, although for some, winter brought a traditional white Christmas.
In Scotland, heavy snowfalls meant an idyllic white Christmas for some, and there was enough snow in parts of northern England for those happy Christmas games. In parts of Northern Ireland, it snowed on Christmas Day for the first time in almost 30 years. But in England, for hundreds of families along the River Severn, winter weather meant misery as floodwaters swept through their homes. In the rest of Europe, it was hundreds of thousands who are counting the cost of the worst floods for 60 years. In Holland, the floods have been declared a national disaster after 12,000 were evacuated from the southern province of Limburg. Despite hopes that the Rhine has peaked, emergency earthworks are still being thrown up. And in Bonn, emergency volunteers paddle dinghies to take Christmas supplies to stranded households. In Cologne, with some floodwaters receding, hundreds of rescue workers began to clean up streets and businesses inundated earlier, and floodwaters spilled over protective steel barriers. So far, authorities in Germany estimate more than 100,000 homes have been damaged by the floods. At least 7 have died in the flooding, which followed several days of heavy rain in northern Europe. Ken Anderson, 10 News.
Hungry Belgrade residents queued for hours this Christmas to receive food handouts. Helpers in the city squares supervised people waiting for bread, cooking oil, rice and other basic foodstuffs. The distribution of free food follows months of international sanctions against war-torn Yugoslavia. Without relief supplies, many could not survive the freezing conditions, let alone enjoy Christmas cheer. In neighbouring Bosnia, fighting continues despite a planned Christmas ceasefire agreed by all 3 warring factions. Sarajevo is still enduring Serb artillery. Now Muslim forces are advancing on Croatian villages in central Bosnia.
No Christmas in Krešončevo. The village was Croat. Now they're defending it house by house. They were taken by surprise. The Croats are losing, civilians have fled, shells landed first, the attackers followed. Only 20 yards away here, they're troops from the 3rd Corps Bosnian Muslim Army. A year ago, the Croats were up against a ragtag militia. Not anymore. Now they believe they're strong enough to reject peace plans and fight for more territory. The Croats say they're outnumbered 10 to 1 in this battle. They've lost land. They have to move running through the woods to dodge sniper positions against them on freshly won high ground. The enemy is only half a mile away from the main Croat supply route through the valley. No one expected a Christmas ceasefire. The Croats worshipped in a nearby church, which the war has turned into a hospital. The latest patients are from the battle for Krešončevo. The Croat commander was there. The priest remembered the dead and the missing from the villages in the valley. A nativity scene with manger and aid trucks, an appeal for help from a besieged community.
Princess Diana and her estranged husband, Prince Charles, have put their differences aside to attend the Queen's traditional Christmas service. It's almost a year since the royal pair separated, with the strain seeing Diana choosing to leave public life altogether. The royals braved the cold conditions and greeted well-wishers who waited at the church on the Queen's Sandringham estate in Norfolk. The Queen Mother, Prince Andrew, Princess Anne and Prince Edward, minus his new girlfriend, all attended the annual Christmas outing. Minus, though, was the Duchess of York. Unity of a different kind in Bethlehem, with Jews and Palestinians marching together for peace. Symbolically, they moved quietly around the holy city with candles, praying for next week's peace talks between Palestinian and Israeli leaders to succeed. A midnight mass was also held. An estimated 10,000 Palestinian Christians and foreigners passed through metal detectors on their way to church. President Bill Clinton has celebrated his first Christmas in the White House with an address to the nation. He made no reference to last week's allegations of sexual and financial wrongdoing. Instead, he concentrated on the meaning of the holiday season.
On this Christmas Day, all over our nation, Americans are gathering in celebration of faith and family and tradition.
This season has a special magic. It may be cold outside, but we all feel an inner warmth. We are renewed with every kindness we give and receive. The celebration is as big as the world, and yet it is as private as every Christmas wish that a child of any age has ever dreamed.
So on this day, our greatest gift is the one within, the emergence and the sharing of our better selves. Our Christmas prayer is that each of us be given the strength to bring peace and goodwill to every community and to every American, especially to every child. Peace for them is our greatest wish. We're especially grateful to the men and women of our armed forces who are overseas this holiday, away from their own families, preserving the freedoms that the rest of us cherish. We wish all Americans a joyous and blessed holiday. Merry Christmas.
And a happy New Year.
As 1993 comes to an end, Time magazine has named not one Man of the Year, but 4. They come from 2 of the world's bloodiest trouble spots.
Today, they're the peacemakers, but for decades, they were anything but. In South Africa, the man whose father and uncle helped draft the apartheid laws saw an opportunity and grabbed it with both hands.
What happened in the USSR and in Central Europe and Eastern Europe created a window of opportunity for us.
An opportunity only made possible because the man who was jailed for more than a quarter of a century was also willing to compromise his ideals. Former enemies working together for a new South Africa.
Mr. de Klerk and I have done our duty to our country and to our people.
In the Middle East, similar compromise after a century of bloodletting. The lifetime soldier and the tireless guerrilla fighter became partners in history.
Partners to the effort to put an end to 100 years of a conflict, a bloody conflict, between the Palestinians and the Jewish Palestinians and Israel.
Making a peace is more difficult than to make war.
Despite setbacks from radical elements in each organization, F.W. de Klerk, Nelson Mandela, Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat are the peacemakers of 1993. Leaf Manifold, 10 News.
When we come back, the fight to save whales beached in the west and the man for whom Christmas comes every day of the year.
With all the kids coming around and all the candy, I just wake up happy to be here.
A surprise visit.
Tracy's going to figure out where the door is.
For TV's funniest woman.
I'm settling for Arnie.
And a surprise invitation.
Want to just take off and leave the kids?
That's all I've ever wanted.
To Las Vegas, 7:30 Tuesday on Roseanne.
I'm Mr. Cool from Canberra, and I'm really cool. I'm a real handy guy when you rush in from school. Just fill me up with water, I'll filter it for sure. Say goodbye to nasty chemicals, I kick them out the door. But if you like a cardio, pour your favorite in. Then press me on the head, it really makes me great. Just give me a tilt, I mix it as you pour. I know you're gonna love it, you'll be calling out for more. I'm Mr. Cool from Canberra, I'll tell it to you straight. I'm a real cool dude and a kid's great name. And where you gonna find me, just raring to go. At a real cool store, boom boom, near you.
Hungry Jack's is celebrating Mickey's 65th anniversary with 4 commemorative Mickey Mouse glasses. There's Steamboat Mickey, the leader of the band, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Contemporary Mickey for 95 cents each with any one of our mouth-watering Fresh For You burgers. So hurry in and collect all 4 for 95 cents each with any burger.
And Hungry Jack's.
You'd have to be goofy to miss out.
I wouldn't mind a Chardonnay. Absolutely. Oh, here's a nice little wine from the Napa. Hot buttered toast, tones of lifted watermelon. Sounds good enough to eat. Or there's a Chilean camper to...
Excuse me. Still deciding on the wine?
The Lindemann Chardonnay, thanks. Yeah, hold on. What about the Moldovan Beaujolais? I'm sure I've read about it somewhere.
Enough said. Just enjoy it.
Look, we're found Ceramic Park.
It's not on my map, Monday.
And look, a flat square egg of an extinct Tylosaurus.
I'll ring Minister Fossil.
Give me that. Can we clone it, Doctor?
You're lying. Well, DNA. DNA?
Don't know anything.
Look, thousands of metres of Tylosaurus eggs.
We'll unleash his rustic beige at 1450, grey at 1450, terracottasaurus only 1950, and bathroom tiles from 1450 per square metre. So hurry to Craft Acre or ASIC before they become extinct.
Look, Andy, an ancient hippo bird egg.
6 whales have come ashore near Albany. 1 has been towed out to sea. Townspeople tonight are maintaining a vigil, hoping it doesn't return.
Singing to soothe the rare marine creature now separated from its pod, all 6 dolphin-like whales had headed for the beach, and although 4 managed to free themselves, 1 died, drowned in the waves.
Just rolling down, and I got out there to try and save it, and I felt its heartbeat, and then I felt it stop, and I was here when the first whale died, and there was nothing I could do.
The remaining whale was taken upstream to settle.
We held the whale in captivity overnight, kept her wet, kept her calm, and held her in a sling until she stabilised.
The strap-toothed whale was this morning carried back to the ocean by the volunteers who participated in the all-night vigil. Slowly moved forward in a sling, once at the beach, the whale was towed by an inflatable runabout to deeper waters. She was released 1.5 kilometres from shore. A similar effort yesterday failed, but it's hoped the overnight rest will see the whale move well away from the beach and back to the pod. Alison Blake, 10 News.
To Canberra now, where hundreds of cars have arrived for the annual Summer Nat Spectacular. Police are confident forward planning will prevent a repeat of last year's violence, but contingency plans are in place if trouble breaks out.
An hour before the first car was allowed through the Summer Nat's gates, vehicles were lining up to get the best camping positions at Epic, and work was starting on street machines. Summer Nat's 1992 was the darkest gathering on record. Too much alcohol and hot weather led to widespread violence during the super cruise through Canberra's main streets. Preventative measures have been taken by government, Summer Nat's organisers and police to keep peace on the streets this year, but a contingency plan is in place if trouble breaks out, with a police operational group prepared to arrest troublemakers.
Police have got a firm policy this year. We're going to deal with troublemakers very firmly.
Puritan Summer Nat's enthusiasts say they're here for the sport, the cars, the hot rodding and the street cruising. Most say they're keen not to see a repeat of last year's violence.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. We're involved in the middle of it.
Police say they don't expect a repeat of last year's violence now the event no longer runs over New Year's Eve. Wednesday night is expected to be Summer Nat's peak. Sharon Marshall, 10 News.
Every day is Christmas Day for one man living in the United States. Eugene Holly not only looks like Santa, but after changing his name by deed poll, he's now officially known as Mr. Claus.
He looks like Santa Claus, and his real name is Santa Claus. This Santa moved from Utah to Florida about a month ago. Born Winfred Eugene Holly, he legally changed his name to Santa Claus in 1982.
This is Dasher and Dancer, Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Richard Nixon. No, it's really Donner, Blitzen, and this is Rudolph. And if he loves you, I just touch your nose and look at his nose, and his nose lights up, see? He loves you. And I do too.
I think that he's real because the beard is so real that when I see him, he's just like real to me.
In fact, Santa hands out about 160,000 candy canes a year. He uses his retirement pension and gets a discount when he buys his candy canes because, well, he's Santa.
To me, every day is Christmas.
Ahead, smiling young faces at the Kremlin, the latest on the weather and sports tonight with Matthew White.
And coming up in sports tonight, South African and Australian test rivalries resume. The Sydney to Hobart fleet battening down and heading down under the Slide Masters. Britain's best riders ready for a confrontation with Australia.
It's a hot day.
You were the one who was talking dirty. I was just trying to keep up.
For TV's funniest man.
Says, what does that mean? I don't know.
Part of TV's funniest hour.
Hey, I got a rubber pencil thing happening here.
8 o'clock Tuesday, Seinfeld on 10.
We found Ceramic Park.
It's not on my map, Andy.
And look, a flat square egg of an extinct Tylosaurus.
I'll ring Minister Fossil.
Give me that. Can we clone it, Doctor?
You're lying. DNA. DNA?
Don't know anything.
Look, thousands of meters of Tylosaurus eggs.
We'll unleash his rustic beige at 1450, grey at 1450, terracottasaurus only 1950, and bathroom tiles from 1450 per square metre. So hurry to craft ache or ASIC before they become extinct.
Look, Andy, an ancient hippo bird egg.
like this no more. The first ever greatest hits album from the original rock and roll refugees. 19 classic tracks on one sensational album. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' greatest hits. Over now, free-fallen favourites.
Australia is known for its weather extremes, but Boxing Day had its surprises in New South Wales today. The sun was shining and snow was falling. A cold snap brought snow to Mount Kosciuszko and Thredbo, with temperatures dropping to a chilly 6 degrees. Fortunately, the cold snap did not reach Sydney at 28, but Boxing Day in Hobart, Melbourne and Adelaide was wet. Perth had a top of 32. The satellite picture shows a massive cloud over much of central Australia, a deepening low with a front to the south coast of New South Wales as east of Bass Strait. There will also be a high near the Western Bight. Tomorrow, Sydney and Canberra can expect light showers. There will be more rain for Melbourne at 16 and Hobart 13. It'll be fine in Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth can expect a top of 39. On Tuesday, improved conditions. Melbourne and Hobart can still expect rain, but fine elsewhere. Perth will have a top again at 31. Looking further ahead to Wednesday, the rain will have just about cleared. Only Hobart can expect rain, fine elsewhere. Other capitals in the 20s, a top in Perth at 31. Well, more cheer before we go with a Christmas treat for the children of Moscow. Father Frost and a team of colourful helpers entertained them at the Kremlin. The children played games inside the nation's centre of power, but it was fun, not politics, that mattered. Each child received a souvenir, a model of the Kremlin, which had sweets and chocolates inside. Russians don't celebrate Christmas until January, so this was an early start. They didn't look as if they minded much. Well, that's how we saw it. Boxing Day 1993. Coming up next, Matthew White with all today's sport in Sports Tonight. But for now, for 10 News, I'm Peter Lloyd. Good night.